Alright, step 28, starting to get into sort of repeat territory. And we're putting on the link mounts again. So once again, I'm just going to chop them off the tree as I use them to make sure I get it the right way. I go onto the diff, the axle, and a bunch of hardware needed. These little very small silver screws are interesting. They're basically screwing into the nuts that got put at the back of the axle. So not sure why they're there, but anyway, that's what we have to do. That's what we're going to do. And here's step 28 all finished. Like I said, it's the same as the front, just putting all these brackets on to mount the arms to. Alright, on to step 29. Once again, as I said, we're just putting the links on the front. Basically the same as the back, the 4 screws and the 8 of the pivot balls. And there's step 29 done. All the links once again attached. So next is step 30, which, like the front, is just installing the half shaft onto the diff. So I'm just going to do it right now because it's that quick and easy. That done. That's the axle bit done. Okay, on to step 31, which is attaching this. Oh, actually attaching the front one to the gearbox. Okay, so step 31, got our front axle. So I'm going to mount this onto the chassis. I just need 4 3x15 screws. Okay, and there's step 31 done. That was a bit easier than what I thought it was going to be. I really had a worrying thought that these were going to keep fighting and not want to line up. But everything went in pretty smoothly. Now the front axle's done. And as I kind of guessed, next step, 32, is doing the same with the rear. So just putting our rear axle onto the chassis with the same 4 screws. Okay, and with that done, that's step 32 complete. Now I've got both axles on the chassis, but nothing to connect them yet, so they can just drop all the way down. So it leads us to the next step, 33, which opens up bag D to start doing the shock absorbers. Okay, and here's the bits for step 33. Okay, now I've got all the bits. So I'm going to start putting the shocks together. This is basically doing the shock body, and this is what we end up with, the 4 shock bodies all complete. Step 34 is just filling them with oil and putting the diaphragm and cap on. And in the step 34, we've got 4 shocks. They're pretty much built, just need the shocks and the collars put on. And we'll do a next step as well as putting them on the truck in step 35. So step 35, we're going to need the rest of the bits for the shocks, springs, a couple of 3x20 screws, nuts, and these collars. This is to do the rear shocks, which ends up at the end of step 35 looking like this. So the axle is now held in there so it won't fall out. Right, on to step 36, which is the same for the front end. So once again, and there are shocks, springs, the other plastic parts, 2 of the 3x20 screws, and 2 of the milled nuts. And at the end of step 36, we now have a truck that looks like this. You actually pick it up. Here's the suspension. The suspension is a lot firmer than what I thought it was going to be. But then again, we haven't got radio and battery and body and everything else on, so they'll probably soften it up a bit more. And I thought it would have been a bit more plush than what it is. Anyway, on to step 37, which is starting to install the radio. Okay, so step 37, they want you to get everything out and center your servo and do all that. So I'm using my FlySky GT5 for this. A, because I've got receivers for it, and B, it's 5 channels, so if I want to put other things on I can, and it's a nice light radio to hold around for, you know, long periods going trail riding. And so I've got this 25 kilo servo, all the bits for the for the servo saver. It's got the high torque in it. It's got the springs there and the ball joint and the screw for holding it on. As I said before, I'm using a 1080, the 1080? Yeah, the 1080s speed controller from Hobby Wing. And finally getting to open the thing. And I do have another speed controller here on hand, because the last time I opened up a Hobby Wing like this, it didn't have any plugs attached, so that was the one for the Clodbuster. Just got to solder on a wire. I think they leave them blank so that whatever you're going to put on for a plug, you can do yourself. No, my goodness. Well, I have an adapter for that at least, so that's a bonus. And no plugs on the motor end, which is okay, because I don't mind hard soldering a servo speed controller to the motor to save that extra connection. Also get the adjustment box. Not even, what's that one for? Oh, that's to connect to the box. Okay. Alright, so I'll get this hooked up and powered up and make sure this receiver's bound, and be back when everything's centered and got the servo saver built. Okay, so it's the servo saver all built, the receiver bound, and this made sure this was centered. One thing I found with these, GV servo. Where's the box? No, there is no box. This one was in a bag. But yeah, these ones that come with the coloured middle bit, and they're cheapies off eBay or wherever you find them. As every one of these I've got, when I've gone to centre it, it's been perfectly centred. So that's one thing GX servo, that's what it is. So yeah, pretty happy with that they come, dead centred. So alright, so that's step 37 done. Next is step 38, which will be putting this in the chassis. Okay, step 38, we're going to need the chassis, which is up here. 2 of these side boards that go on the side of the chassis. Our servo, of course. And 4 3x18 screws and 2 3x10 ones with the washer already built into it. Okay, and there's step 38 done. The servo's in. Bit tricky to get the wire in the right spot there. This side bit where the nuts go earlier over here sort of gets in way of where the wire comes out for the servo. The side bits are on. They sort of go, one goes to the back 2 holes sort of thing. The other one goes to the front, but they end up level. They end up level on the chassis. Alright, so step 39 is basically installing the radio gear. I'm not going to be able to do that right now because, as I said, I'm going to have to change stuff around for this. I may just put bullet plugs on this and hook it up to this one, and then just change the power wire to a Dean's, because I don't use these on anything pretty much. So I'll be putting the radio in. I don't know about, I guess I'll use the radio box, which is just that, and a couple of small screws. Oh, that's for the on-off switch, which I won't be able to use because this uses a different one. It'll just be double taped in. So I'm just going to be using a couple of little 3x8 3x8 screws to put this together, and then it just gets double-sided taped to the chassis, like that. Yeah, I'm a bit in two minds about that, because I'll do it to get the antenna wire out of the way, so I can put a little tube inside and just have it neatly tucked up there. But honestly, it's like not really necessary. But I'll be back once I've done what I want to do for step 39. Okay, so I'm not going to try and do the radio now. I've been working on this all day. It's starting to get late. I'm starting to get a little bit tired, so I'm going to wait till tomorrow, because even the reserve Speedy, which I thought it's got plugs, I can just chuck it in, it's got a mega short wire to go to the receiver, is too short to reach from one side to the other. So I'm just going to wait till tomorrow when I'm awake and change over the plugs and stuff like that. And I'll see how I go. I might rip the motor out and just hardwire the speed controller in there, because that's generally the easiest, safest way to go. So that's step 39 and 40. As I'm just going to leave them for now, because that's a bit of a, even when you're doing a build, that's a bit of a personal thing of how you want to do your radio and when you're putting it in that. But I do want to finish off at least so that the chassis has got wheels on it. So that means next will be step 41. I didn't cut off the rest of the bits. There's basically the bumpers, and there's a whole bunch of hardware for this one. And yeah, I think all the parts that are left on this tree will be going on the bumper. So I'll be back when step 41's done. Alright, that's step 41 done. Front bumper attached. This rear, sort of like a battery holder thing attached. It doesn't even screw in, it just pops onto them, the ball studs that put on it. So interesting design. Okay, step 42 is just putting the tyres on the wheels. So I think everyone knows how to do that, and if you don't, just do it. I've decided to do the kit rims, the silver ones with the softer tyres. So just going to do that for 4 of them, and then we're back with the bits we need for step 43 to finish off at least the wheels on the chassis. Okay, step 43, our wheels, our hexes. Finally use the last 2 bearings, 4 wheel pins and 4 wheel nuts to get these mounted up. You can see the chassis on its wheels, and then next we'll be getting into the body. So we'll see the chassis at least on its wheels tonight, and that's where I'll leave it until tomorrow when I'll finish off the rest of the kit. Okay, and there's step 43. All done. Wheels on the chassis. Don't you love just doing a whole spiel and intro and look over stuff and realise you didn't hit record? So, it's a new day. As I was getting a bit tired last night at the end there, so I just left the radio. This morning I took care of it, took out the motor again and gearbox, which was a fun job, not too hard. Just have to take out the 4 screws that bounce it up, but you do have to take out the drive shafts from the yoke sort of thing and take it off there, and then it comes out fairly easy. So I got rid of the whole motor connection, just hard wired it to the speed controller. Changed the plug to what I normally use, which is Dean's. Mount up the battery box. I sort of set it in last night, but then when I had to remove the gearbox, because I'd moved it so far in, it actually was in the way. So I set it out a little bit further and also turned it round so that it better leads into the wires. So that's all done and mounted up now. So that's where I'll leave off this video. The rest of the steps now are pretty much body related. So like there's a few more steps on the chassis, but it's to do the body posts. So
Remember to like and subscribe. I'll be back in the next video, hopefully to finish off this project, which will be mostly just, as I said, the body and mucking around with the different wheels and tires to see what I want to use. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.